So welcome to our Show Me the Money presentation. Thanks for joining. I'm Johnny Monzo. I work on growth product at Motive, which includes the Motive card. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm Will Gardner. I've worked throughout the entire organization regarding cards, now under Johnny Monzo, and actually have my previous supervisor here as well through post sales, where I've worked with a few of you already, so I appreciate you coming in as well, and hopefully we can answer some questions. Also, we've
got Jonathan Keys here from Hawks Pest Control. He's an avid user of the card for his organization. Has been a big product feedback proponent for us, and has helped us learn more about how to improve it for our users. So he's going to answer some questions, and please treat this as interactive. So if you have questions about anything you see on the screen or that we speak to, feel free to step up to the mic or just raise your hand. I think if we can project, we'll be able to hear it. Would love to answer questions in real time. So with that, we're going to talk through why we brought spend management into the fleet environment, how to maximize savings, how to keep your drivers from draining your savings, rooting out fraud, and automating as many processes as possible. So really excited. Why integrate spend management? So obviously businesses are being faced with rising costs, volatile prices of fuel, manual processes that are a drain on time, and fraud. And I know everyone heard Shoaib talk about these, so don't need to go too deep into them, but these are things that we've heard from our customers, and we want to make sure that we give you the best tools to combat them. In contrast, a lot of existing cards, they're not delivering the savings that you're looking for. They're not detecting fraud in any meaningful or AI-powered way. And they keep your data siloed across multiple different systems, which makes it really hard to integrate all of that, analyze it, make use of it, and actually get the savings that you're looking for. So enter Motive. We've brought everything together in one place. As you can see here, the whole gamut from fleet management, safety, asset tracking, workforce, AI, and spend management. We've been doing spend for a couple of years now, and it's been really exciting to watch the capabilities, the usefulness, and the savings for customers grow through that process. So Motive Card, it's a huge piece of what we're offering now, and it's something that's really contributing to customers being happy with the Motive platform, and keeping as many dollars in their pockets as possible. So with all of these things together, it gives you the ability to maximize total control over what your drivers are doing, eliminate fraud, maximize savings across our partner network, and overall make sure that every purchase complies with your policies, and that you're able to, like I said, keep as many dollars in your pocket as possible. All of that allows you to maximize savings, root out fraud, gain control, and remove these manual processes that are a drain on your employees' time. They're spending time doing manual things that should be automated out of existence so they can focus on higher value activities for the business. So to get into the specifics of that, look, savings, more important than ever. The cost of doing business is going up and up and up. You've got over $2.25 a mile, and almost $100 an hour of costs when you're actually running these businesses. So it's critically important that you're able to combat that as much as possible. And so I'd like to hand it off to Will to talk about how right off the bat, we're guaranteeing you savings.
Yeah, so as you see here, we've offered a new program. Historically, we offered a few things that included, say, what we considered a fleet bundle. So when you pair our telematics with our card solution, we were offering an incentivized savings, right? But they were difficult to track. A lot of people didn't really understand it. So we thought, what's the best thing we could do but give a flat rate across the board by offering higher rebates from the get-go, and then also an easy to track rebate outside of our partnership rebates. So when we talk about these rebates, we're talking about stacked rebates. And I've had a conversation with a few people here, even last night. We were talking about the rebates that people can get from EFS and WEX and other card providers. I don't want to just knock EFS or WEX or the likes, right? I mean, it's across the board. And we're seeing that they're offering, hey, we can give basis points too. But as you all know, if you've ever gone to get fuel before and you look at the pump, you're going to see those logos. If you see that logo, it's identified as that card. The difference with us is we're not identified as a different card rail. So when we're offering our retail minus rebates that you get on every gallon, whether that be diesel or unleaded, we're stacking on top of that. So the rebates matter and they will add up. So that's the first piece here. And we're going to get into some of those partnerships that we have next.
I think it's also, we should talk about the 2.5% back.
That's what I said in the beginning. So here's a list of our rebates here and from our partnership network, right? So these are the standard offering we get. Everyone has access to these and you're going to have access right from the get-go of every single one of these partnership locations. And again, we talked about the 2.5 and the 1.5% back that would effectively stack on top of this, realizing unheard of savings for every gallon you purchase. There's no floor, there's no ceiling to this. You will get back on everything that you do. And these are just the fuel partnerships. We also have a list of non-fuel partnerships of maintenance locations, which again would effectively stack with those rebate offerings we originally spoke about in the beginning. So you're just going to keep realizing these savings exponentially as you move into our partnership network, but also by utilizing some of the tools that we have at our disposal.
All of those things together in 2024 saved our customers more than $45 million. We expect to, blow that out of the water this year. But we're talking about real, concrete, hard savings that you can take to your accounting team, that you can take, that's going to stack on your bottom line. And like Will said, great partnerships, great maintenance partnerships, 2.5% cash back in year one. We're really maximizing the amount that we can offer you so that it makes this decision really easy. Okay, part two here. How do we keep our drivers from costing us money? Because we know that people might not always do things that we want them to do with a card. We want to give them flexibility by having the card be open loop. They can spend it on things that aren't fuel, but we also want to have the control to make sure that they're only spending it on exactly what you want.
So something that almost every card provider offers is some form of limiting capability, right? A profile, a policy, whatever they want to call it, that limits or restricts based on the type of expenditure that it is, whether it be fuel or maybe non-fuel if your card is capable of doing that. The difference is that it's usually within a 3-bucket category. We actually extrapolate this out to multiple subcategories that could have their own set of restrictions and limitations while also adhering to an overall parent-guided overarching spending parameter, right? Like, so if you say like $2,000 a day per this profile, nothing underneath that in those subcategories could go past that original $2,000 base set, right? So when we talk about doing this, we also have the capability of flagging suspicious transactions at a card level or group level or however many people you want to put in that profile. And then also how we flag it, whether we do auto declines based on the type of expenditure, whether we look at tank level monitoring. There's so many different ways that we can limit this, including time of day, day of the week, and that time of day can be limited even down to the minute if you want. So we can allow for the override of these spend parameters in real time to where you can move a card from one profile to another, or even add a temporary override, which we've had the luxury of our product team implementing recently, to where you can actually move a card from one for a limited period of time to allow for that additional type of expenditure, and then it would automatically revert back. You can add code and reason why it happened. We add logs of who it was that approved it and the time of which it was approved. So whenever it hits that time limit that you had set, it'll automatically revert back and they're back on their original restrictions. So you can look at this overall, and as you see on some of these examples, when we're opening up for different types of spend, we have executives using this. We actually have an account here today, not just Hawks here, who's also looking into this as well for non-fuel utilization. But we have one here as well that's already looking into that, to where we can integrate with ERP solutions. We can capture receipts, if those of you who attended just a moment ago saw. We can add receipts, pull information from those receipts, and then also allow restricted spend for all other individuals within the company, but then allow open to all categories for executives, fleet managers, directors, whoever it is that needs it for additional spend, accounts payable, and the likes. And those can be adjusted in real time.
I actually used that feature last weekend.
Did you?
Somebody called me up and said, hey, I'm having a challenge with my fuel card, and I was able to adjust those parameters for just that 30 minutes, and then it reverted back.
That's great. Yeah, Jonathan was one of the ones we talked to about this. It was he was actually brought on board to look at some of that build out and got his feedback with it. And that's one of the beauties of partnering with us, is that we take your feedback and we create substance out of it. You can effectively create your own ideas into Motive, and we make them a reality. And our product team has been phenomenal at doing this. I brought Jonathan on quite a few times to get his feedback. So we value this. And even the other company here today that I just referenced, working with their accounting team, they're going to provide feedback to us as well. And we're going to make it even better for all of those that follow in suit. So one of the next things is, and this is yet to be rolled out, but very close, is the capability. And again, this is by demand by clients we have today and people looking into it, is we're able to restrict and look at locations based on, one, how much the fuel costs. And then also this could work with how you look at your routing, right? Like, let's say you're on a trajectory, you're on an interstate or a highway, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm okay with them going to these stops, but let me optimize this on my own end. There's been a conversation of how we're going to expand onto this and implement it as a whole. And we are working very closely with the product team to help build this out even more, but soon we'll be able to select it. Say you only want a Love's, right? They're in network. Maybe we've passed over a direct discount offering that you have with Love's, and that's all you want your guys to go to. But as you know, there could be a possibility within one route, especially crossing states, that there's a Love's that costs more here and costs less here. Now, if you're interstate and you're traveling, you have a 350 gallon capacity, you're going to be able to make it to that next Love's before you run out of gas. So why wouldn't we just block the first one, wait for the next one? You're paying less in taxes, less overall price. Maybe you have a direct discount that's worth more. If you're routing that way, then you're optimizing your rate of return as well. And if we're feeding that to the driver, then they can take ownership in it and say, oh, okay, if I look at my app and I see where this next stop is, I can effectively save the company more money that way as well. So you have multiple solutions that you have available for you to look at. It comes down to how much visibility, how much control you want, and how much money you want to save in the long run. So this is talking about missed savings. This is a perfect piggyback over the last comment that was made. We are surfacing information based on the proximity of the fueling location, the original transaction. If we've identified another station within a mile proximity, we're going to surface it and we're going to say, hey, you would have saved more here. And you will get alerts on this. You'll see it. You'll be able to pull a report for whatever time period you want. And drivers, like I said, can look at their app to help offset this to where they're like, hey, if you're looking at your app and you're utilizing it, our partnership with Gas Buddy and our own custom built algorithms help to identify, one, the pricing that we have from our partnership locations. All the other locations outside of our partnership would also surface on our app if Gas Buddy has pushed those to us. So if we see that there's a station that costs less than even a network location, we're going to surface that to you. We're not biased. And that's one of the great things. I did a demonstration this morning at 8 o'clock. And we did a full-on demonstration. I was able to pull up an example of this through one of the transactions. I just clicked on it, showed me a map, and I said, this is a perfect example of what I preach all the time, is that Motive is not biased. Yes, we'd love you to go in network. More often than not, you will save more in network. But we are not going to say you have to, because driver behavior is very difficult to control, and it's not always able to be controlled, right? Especially if you get pushback. Drivers are hard to come by. We all know that. It's a difficult position to staff in these days, unfortunately. So if we can make them happy, then that's first and foremost. And then the next is, how can we save more? Joe.
I don't know if other companies feel the same way, but like when I look at the Miss Savings tab,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the time it's like membership places like BJ's or Sam's Club, which, you know, individuals might have that, but as a company as a whole, we don't. So I feel like if we could either toggle that on and off on a company basis or Motive just pull that out because it's like false savings.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, Joel, because I took that feedback that you gave me a few weeks back and they're doing that. Yep. Yeah, that's already done. You are absolutely right. And this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the feedback that we want that says this is how we improve our system and how we surface something that's more relevant. And whether that needs to be at an account level or just overall, maybe that's where we toggle it on and off and we decide.
I love this because it's an example of something that not only saves you time in the back office, but realistically, poring over every driver's transactions and then trying to map it out against where cheaper fueling was nearby, logistically, that's impossible. So we're actually taking something that would not only take a ton of time, it's never really going to happen in a meaningful way, and giving you that kind of superpower with the card. So really cool.
Yeah. So the next piece, we were talking about the auto declines. We were talking about rolling out the feature where we can identify whether or not fuel is less expensive in another location. And then you gauge the threshold of saying, okay, if it costs this much more, which was actually a request from one of our clients as well. They were like, hey, we just don't want it to be, we want it to be automated. Like, let's block all the locations. If they cost more than something else in a relative location.
No, I was going to say, I didn't say it in the keynote, but it's worth saying that you can emergency override this as well, because a couple of people asked me afterwards, like, oh, if we're telling the driver, hey, this is too expensive, there's a place right close by, what if their tank is like very, very empty? If you see the reattempt button at the bottom, they can do that, and then the admin or the fleet manager can override it so they can make a transaction in an emergency.
Can you set like a mileage threshold? Like you know, within 3 miles, go find the cheaper place, not 5 miles.
Yeah, I think Anka was still playing with like what the actual limit is, aren't we?
You're using some data to determine what would be the right thresholds out of the gate for different kind of fuel purchases. But we'd be happy to take feedback if it makes sense for fleet managers to configure what radius they would prefer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Just to speak up. I actually have a ton of experience in spend management before I came to Motive, and it's amazing to see how innovative and entrepreneurial we are. Like, even though we're part of a big company, any feedback like that, a team will take it to heart and they will do something about it. And that's just amazing to see.
We already signed up, right?
I just want to know, like, you know,
3 weeks in, we're client, all right. I'm kidding.
Jonathan, would love to hear from you about how you're using controls, Miss Savings, this functionality to help maximize.
I was really excited about Caroline's keynote this morning because that auto decline, I think, is going to be big. We've got plenty of controls in place. I love the fact that you can match up the vehicle, the driver, and the application. Like, that is a game changer for us, and it's helped us to reduce fraud. But later on, I'll talk just a little bit more about what other preventions you guys have put in that Carolyn hasn't mentioned yet, which is really exciting, which we've used.
Yeah, there's so much that we can't talk about at all. So appreciate that. I think we had a question over here.
Yeah, maybe it's in the works, I don't know. So I talked with workforce. Will there be communication between like the card usage and workforce, to where if a guy goes to get fuel, talking to them about being able to add job codes for construction companies? What we do, add a job code in there, a job number, to where they can directly attach the fuel to that.
Yeah, so we can actually do that today. One of the upsides, and this was by demand as well, we had the capability of adding what we call pre-transaction metadata requests or capture, where you can create your own custom field prompts. And you can have essentially as many of these as you want, whether they be a single select field or an open text field. So for job codes specifically, we would be able to request that the card user at the time of transaction would indicate the job or project that they're working on, and it would automatically sync with that transaction based upon their entry. which if there's ever any issues, that can be edited after the fact as well, but it'll always still surface, and it can be exported on our CSV as well as other reports.
So you can attach whatever you want, and that'll show up on the transaction.
I think it'd be really cool also if, an event can be tied to the driver being on the clock. Like, if you got a time card management system, if the driver's not on the clock, it'll auto decline. He can't get fuel if he's off the clock. Potentially, fueling outside of business hours for their personal vehicle or something. And also just thinking when they fuel, like you get an actual snapshot from the camera that says, hey, I'm at a gas station. And just that one snapshot to see that they're actually there.
Yeah, that's actually interesting feedback. So the time frame we can already initiate to, but again, if they're different times that they might be on, maybe they're not just like a 9 to 5 or something Monday through Friday. Right. So if we're trying to mimic that, depending on like how you schedule drivers out, we could look at that and create multiple profiles in order to move it, or even the temporary profile override at the moment. But I think that's a great idea. That I've been developing a doc of feedback that I'm receiving from current clients. And one of the things that I've been asked about, because we have other products that we're trying to utilize, is the use to use cameras to authenticate based on who it is purchasing fuel. Now we have AI facial recognition in cab, right? So one of the interests was from one of our clients saying, hey, well, what happens if we put the AI facial recognition on the exterior through one of our products like the OmniCam that's allowed to validate the driver at the time of transaction and then restrict the transaction if it's not an identified driver. So there are some things that we've talked about, pass a few of these onto the product team.
Could it be biometric through the app too when they have to auto approve the transaction? Just like any other biometric login.
Interesting. You're saying like if they're logged in, it would take a picture of them through their camera.
Recognition. Okay, this is really me.
So yeah, sort of like that idea exactly with the cameras on the exterior. Absolutely. I hope that we might get there. This is something that I've taken back a couple of times, but the more feedback we get like this is how we're saying, hey, there is a real interest here. Let's build this out. So absolutely, I'm gonna actually put your name in the hat on that one since there's interest here.
We actually use the hours of operation. And so we control when they can get fuel. So if they try to get fuel after hours or on the weekends, we can control all that.
Yeah, and our technicians have on-call hours over weekends sometimes, and they're very fluid. So it's, if we get an emergency call at 2 a.m. and that guy has to go out, he may need fuel at 2 a.m. If he's not on that, hours of operation schedule, it might flag. So we've got some nuances that we'd have to work out. But
yeah, I'd love to talk to you more about that.
I think the point that, bringing everything together across the Motive platform, like that is one of our big strengths. And so I love the idea of being able to pair those hours of operation or time cards with the ability to actually use the card. And I think that's something we'll be looking forward to trying to do soon. I think we've already just sort of started on this path, but rooting out fraud. Look, fraud is going up and to the right, which is not the direction that we want. It's incredibly pervasive, especially with the AI tools that are coming out that are open to everybody. These fraudsters are getting increasingly sophisticated in how they phish and how they, perform data breaches, and they use that to extract money from well-meaning and businesses that are just trying to protect themselves. We're offering state-of-the-art fraud prevention functionality. And so we're really trying to keep these from eroding margins and find these instances of fraud in places that are basically imperceptible to the human eye unless you're spending hours and hours and hours poring over all of these things. And right now, the solutions that are currently out there, the big players in the fleet card space, they're just not applying that same level of rigor and functionality that we're able to. So Will's going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing.
Yeah. So what you saw earlier today, if you participated in the original opening, was that we do have the capability to lock this down. One of the issues we see, and Caroline talked about it beautifully, was the fact that we rely on an antiquated system of PIN prompts at the pump. Why are we still doing this, right? We already seen the issues. Guys forget their PINs. They share them. They're putting in the wrong one. They're entering 99999 for odometer or 1 for the odometer to bypass this. You're getting garbage data that you have to manually reconcile against, and it's setting you up for fraud, like skimming events or internal theft, to where guys can change out pins and they're like, well, it wasn't me. How do you prove that? How do you disprove that? So it's all hearsay after that. What are you going to do? Right? So how do you hold your drivers to a higher level of accountability while maintaining the security that you initially thought you had through pins? We have mobile-based unlock. So they have to be logged in. It's login specific, 1-to-1 ratio criteria, right? For access to their app. So unless they're giving someone their login, the chance of them having fraud is negligible. That could be said doubly for skimming events. The big thing about skimming events right now is that when they skim a card, they're skimming all the inputs as well. And mag strips are so much easier to skim than what we have implemented, which is a chip-based system. So when skimming events happen with a pin pool, which is driver ID or vehicle ID pin pool, they're capturing that. And with these skimmers that are becoming better and better at what they're doing, just like Caroline had mentioned in the beginning of the day, is that they have an auto generation tool where they can take some of these data points that they've already selected and they can try to auto generate numbers. And then all they have to do is use that pin. They already know it's a fleet card. And then before you know it, another one of your card is compromised. That was never even at the point of sale. And then you're not even aware of it. You didn't even think, hey, this card can be compromised. So before you know it, fraud can run rampant throughout the entire company and it's all unbeknownst to you. So how do we protect from that? We lock it down to where nothing can be done unless it's validated by the card holder. So we can do driver cards, we can do vehicle cards, and we're authenticating who it is making that transaction through the login or through SMS text messaging. So it's very, very much more secure than what you would be used to in the industry today where we rely heavily on manual inputs. So something to think about. I'm sure everyone here that's done has dealt with it. Yeah, Carrie?
I was just wondering what would cause it to lock? Like, I just got a message saying my card will not unlock, and he's used it quite a few times.
Interesting. Okay, so are you on the admin app right now? Are you able to access it? Are you able to go into the transaction?
It may take me a minute because I'm new.
Yeah, no problem. So it's really easy. That's another thing, is that declines are difficult to diagnose. The driver doesn't know why they got a decline. They just got a decline. They're calling the fleet manager and they're saying, why did I get this decline? Well, I don't know. Let me check the system. Oh, there's a code. Let me call my fleet card rep and help diagnose this. I did this for years at a competitor. I know how this works. I spent hours doing this stuff. So, and my hours is probably worth decades to some of you, right? So when we start thinking about it, we need to make it easy for a user interface. The drivers can diagnose the decline. It gives the actual reason through their app. And all the fleet admin has to do is hover over the decline and it'll tell you why. Now, in these circumstances, it could have been likely, you got to carry, what was it? Was it frozen for potential fraud? Did you have to select it was him or?
I did somebody else, but his was vehicle mismatch.
There you go. Vehicle location mismatch is why it was declined. We have auto declines enabled yet. So
I swear she was not planted in the audience. There's actual fraud being detected in real time.
I actually need to ask her some questions about her account too, and she just happened to be here. It's beautiful. So perfect example. Thank you, Carrie, for that feedback. And easily diagnosed. And then you tell your driver, hey, was this really you? You could check your vehicle location history to validate that they were actually on the route. It made sense. Or you can go back and just say, hey, I don't think this was you. I'm going to freeze the card until you give me a reason of why this happened. And you can communicate with your driver directly through the application. They'll get a push notification. Hey, Carrie just said, why is your vehicle showing up somewhere else? What's going on with this? Your card is frozen until you give me an answer. And then you can unlock it if you want. So suspicious transactions. This is a perfect example. Carrie just experienced this. She will receive an alert, a push notification that says, hey, this is what happened. Maybe it was tank level. There was a mismatch with the tank level. Maybe they bought more fuel than went into the vehicle, which we are very accurate with, by the way. And not many people, if any, can do this, from my understanding, is being able to gauge the tank level, but also the proximity. And let me tell you, you guys might have this. You might have secure fuel. You might have something else, right? That helps you bridge the gap between your fuel card provider and your telematics. And you're like, well, I get proximity-based alerts too. How many of you received alerts that are redundant? They keep giving you the same alert. You've already validated this is the right location, but for some reason you keep getting it. We have a learning algorithm. Our team was smart enough to put in place to say, hey, Once we've identified that this retailer, this merchant, is reporting their geographical location inaccurately, we are building it to what we call a whitelist account that shows that we validated this, and we're taking every transaction that's done on the Motive card throughout every account in Motive, and we're also verifying and authenticating this data through GasBuddy. So we already have authentication through GasBuddy, and then we're also pairing it with our own database of ever-learning AI functionality that allows us to know whether or not these are legitimate transactions, and then you're not going to get those declines or those alerts over and over again. They're whitelisted, they're good to go, your guys are on the road, and they're not stranded for no reason.
Yeah, so we're making it smarter over time. We're taking the lead and building on it.
Yeah, so this is the vehicle location mismatch. This is what Carrie would see if she's on the dashboard. She'd be able to see where it was. It gives a picture, a map view of it, and then shows where the location of the vehicle was in correspondence to the location of the transaction, allowing you to have full visibility into it, not just a, trust me, bro moment. And you're actually able to validate it, right?
And look, we make a big deal about the savings that we give to our customers through rebates, cashback deals, all of this. I mentioned that $45 million saved last year. The number of dollars that we saved in fraud prevention was actually higher than that. And I think this is something that sometimes gets minimized, especially by the other card providers, because they don't want to highlight what a problem this is. But the dollar savings here associated with fraud prevention are actually higher than what you get through rebates. So it's critically important that this gets the proper billing, because it's actually just as important, if not more, than those the dollar savings that you see on the invoice. Jonathan, I know you've got a lot to say here.
Yeah, we you talked about how agile Motive is. We started with Motive about a year ago, and the rollouts of new features and enhancements, the ability just from the app now to look at the fuel transactions, like that didn't exist a year ago. So like they're listening, they're hearing our voice, they're putting in the hard yards, as it were. And so for us, one of the things that we have just benefited from is they've got this new feature where whatever you pump at the pump versus what actually fills up in the tank, we get an alert on that. And we've caught 3 people that have conducted fuel fraud, and we have terminated those individuals so that they can't do it anymore. So that was our auto decline. We've terminated them. So honestly, just amazing, the innovation with this company. And that one, it's been challenging for us to figure out the location mismatch. There's been a few challenges there, but this one, there's no discrepancy. Like that fuel tank doesn't rise, and therefore we've got them.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really cool to see some of the videos that Jonathan shared with us, because you're taking what could be a really uncomfortable conversation with the driver. Hey, we saw this data. Can you tell me what's going on there? You skip over that step and you can say, okay, we saw the data. It warned us. We looked at the dash cam video because we have that linked directly to that transaction. We saw exactly what was going on. Suddenly, maybe still an uncomfortable conversation, but one that you can have with 100% conviction about what actually happened. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, you could actually see the other driver pull in. So we pulled the footage for that time. They backed out, the other person pulled in, and off you go. We had them.
Got it. Glad you found that.
So removing manual processes. Look, we've talked to a lot of leaders in these businesses like yours. Everybody's using too many tools. It's overwhelming. It slows things down. All of these things are disconnected. So even if you're using them as efficiently as possible, you're not being as efficient as possible. And so we are really trying to bring all of these things together, remove the silos. And that's the beauty of the Motive platform. We've talked about this in so many different ways, bringing fleet management, spend management, safety, workforce all together. Every month, every quarter, every year, we're releasing tons of functionality that pushes all of that data into one place, makes more sense out of it, and allows us to bring more capabilities and time-saving attributes to you and your fleets. So we'll, again, we can talk about some of these ways that this is actually making it easier for fleets to run.
Yeah. So obviously, you've seen some of the capabilities that we have. It's all about visibility and control. Think of it, you have the convenience of an overall credit card with the controls of any fuel card in the industry, and then some, right? You have complete control and visibility over what your guys are doing, what you're doing internally. You're able to reconcile transactions and reconcile purchases easier and more efficiently because it's a consolidated platform that's pulling in data from multiple data points from our telematics to the transactions, and then as well as allowing you to capture additional information at the point of sale that you might need to tag at that point of sale in order to speed up the reconciliation process. MasterCard can be used essentially everywhere. And if we're offering rebates as well on top of that, which is every bit as competitive as industry leaders in the credit card space, then you're getting even a better product than you would get if you had one of the best credit cards in the industry, right? Because you have that control factor in the back end helping you to maintain whatever it is that you're trying to run and allow you to maximize your revenue over time by utilizing the controls and tools that you have at your disposal.
And so that's one card filling the space that previously had two. So it's half as many like platforms to actually be running. It's half as many fraud surfaces for attack from bad actors. And we talked about this 2.5% back for the first year, 1.5% back thereafter on all spend. Again, that's not just fuel, that's everything. So if you run a company that has to buy materials or uniforms or pay for subscriptions for back office software, any of that can be put on the card and make use of that discount, and that's uncapped. So this isn't, 2.5% back until you've saved $10,000. It's you spend and you save. So we're trying to make this a no-brainer.
So some of the reports that we have available that people need is obviously an automated IFTA report. So again, we're pulling telematics data, we're pulling the transactional data, marrying them together and making it easy to export, whether that be a CSV or a PDF, whatever time frame, jurisdiction, vehicle, driver, any type of format you need that in, how you want it to be exported is available, as well as scheduling and custom reporting that we can create, not even just through IFTA, but through other reports as well. So we were talking about the automated reporting, the scheduling factor, whether or not you need to export based on the role of the person utilizing the card, the type of vehicle. And again, all of this is in one platform. So there's no more of that manual reconciliation where you got to pull from your fleet card or your expense card, and then you have to cross-reference between the user or the driver or the vehicle data. It's all consolidated. And I'd be more than happy to show any of you at any point in time online about this as well. So please let me know if you want some examples of this, and we can dive in. Yeah. Again, with what we're able to do here, we have, as Jonathan has said, how nimble we are as a company, being able to move and progress and implement new features. We have McLeod integration now, and we will soon, if it's not already almost done, is the two-way communication, which some people do utilize in the transportation space. But we have an open API. Those of you that may already be Motive clients with us already know what we can integrate with on the fleet side of things. Same thing can be said about the card side. Our team is 100% willing to integrate with any provider you have, ERP solution, any secondary software, any tracking dispatch software. All they want is to be informed about it, which is part of my job. If I speak with you, let's get you set up with the product team and your representative from your secondary software provider, and they'll build it out. And we've done this numerous times. Like, we're able to integrate with a wet hose company to where they can auto charge to the card that corresponds with the vehicle and get those reports from them that has it consolidated. We can work with on-site fueling if we need to integrate with the card reader, or even talk about an alternative solution that could work for on-site fueling. If you do bulk fuel, that's another one. And then, of course, dispatch services and things like that. So anything that you can think of, if you have an integration you're concerned about, the beauty from Motive, and it's yet to be seen, we don't charge for the integration. How many times have people gone in the cloud and it's like, hey, we're going to charge you $10,000-$20,000 to integrate? You're not getting that from Motive. So just know that we're always in the best interest of our clients and our potential clients, to where we're trying to help make it easier and save you money from every end of the spectrum, not just through direct savings of the transactions, but also through integrations and things like this.
Yeah, we've experienced that. We've done a lot of APIs with you guys, and sky's the limit. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be as customer friendly as possible, and the product team's going to come after me for all these promises we're making, but that's our job.
I'm already on their list.
And just an example from one of our customers, they came through, they started using us for IFTA. This is something that we're able to do automatically because, again, we're linking vehicle data with card data. IFTA, for those of you who are familiar, is a really painful process, and it can lead to some real late nights at the end of the quarter. They have told us that they're saving 800 hours a month, and that is real cash savings when you consider what those people they're now able to focus their time on getting other much more higher value things than just making calculations about paying taxes. So it's really meaningful. And the calculations that we've run on this suggest that this is an additional 7% on average in savings relative to the amount that you're spending on the card. So you add that back to the fraud and the rebates and partner savings that we're delivering, it's really meaningful. And Jonathan, would love to hear more from you about the integrations and productivity savings that you've had.
We do a lot with our BI at our company. And so being able to pull information and push information. So we automatically onboard every driver through our HRIS, and then it triggers Motive, and then they get a login, and then they can single sign on. And then we're pulling data out and pushing it elsewhere. So we're pulling the odometer and we're putting it into other systems. We got to do more with the fuel side, but and we're doing some with idle time reporting as well internally. And so
if they're going into a vehicle that already has a card associated with it, you're not having to issue them a card or anything. All of that's happening automatically when they're onboarded. Correct. They can go, they're immediately ready.
Single sign on, and then it's identified to them, and then they unlock the card and off they go.
Love it. So kind of wrapping things up here, showing you the money. I know I'm hammering this one. 2.5% cash back for the first year on top of partner savings, 5% savings through fraud, 5% savings through missed savings, correcting those, making sure that you're keeping as much in the bank as possible, and another 7% through productivity gains. I don't know if I can do all that math in my head, but the reality is this is a massive amount of savings that you're getting, both in terms of money back on invoices and everything else that you're keeping in your wallet through the productivity gains that we're offering. So we've really laid ourselves out trying to bring maximum functionality, and we're really excited to have you here to learn about it, and would love to open up some questions.
Yeah, just but I'm new. I start next month, so other people may know, but I don't. Is there a I don't know if there's a need or the capability of a virtual one-time use?
Virtual cards. We don't. It's coming this year. So we don't have it right now, but it's underway.
Is the driver app required to use the Motive card, or can we just give them the card to use?
Yeah, so it's completely up to your prerogative, whatever you want to do in your company. So we actually had people that have used the card and just implemented, say, the spend controls, limitations, and then also auto decline functionality. Yeah, absolutely, you could do that. There are a couple of different options in which you can do this. And then, of course, if you want to use SMS, that's also an option. Now, I always recommend leaving the security control enabled because you just never know sometimes, but it's worked out well. We've actually had a number of people that utilize that without any kind of locking security factor or the app usage.
So yeah, if your drivers don't have smartphones, they can use text message to do the unlock as well. So there's a kind of a range of security options here.
Yeah, they can customize whatever solution you want. Like, for example, we want the ability to have an open network so our drivers can go anywhere. Now there's reduced savings in that scenario, but these guys will customize what you need tailored towards your needs as a company.
It looks like we might be running down here. We would love to talk to anyone who wants to have a one-on-one conversation about this. Please come find Will or myself, or you can back channel with Jonathan, get the inside scoop. But we're really excited to have you here, and thank you for being at Vision and for coming to learn more about the card. We're really excited about this opportunity. So thank you.